Hey there guys, real quick, this is the Elder Dadless, co-host of the Dadless podcast. Today, I'm here to tell you a little something about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me go ahead and explain. First of all, it is free, there's no upfront cost, it doesn't cost anything. It's a great way to get started. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Literally, if you're on the go, if you're at school, if you are hiding in the restroom while you're at work, if you're stalking your ex-girlfriend, you can literally make a podcast from anywhere. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other streaming platforms. Hey, great way to get it out, right? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means that your Uncle Randy, who was twice removed, can help you make a buck. Or creepy Father John, who you chose to stop talking to for many reasons, can even help you make a buck. It's that simple. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is anchor.fm. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get back to the show. Studio. More than a studio than we've had.
I can't be on a computer like this, though. It's so uncomfortable.
With a big old chair?
No, just putting your fucking leg up like that.
Oh.
Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good. What is this? Are you trying to trick me?
Wait, just wait.
When's it get good?
What's up there, little homie? About ready to do this?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
In this world, if you can't swim, you bound to drizzle. And if you fall, you better pick your punk ass up. That's right. And the rest of y'all,
One at the ready?
don't cut him no slack.
Hey, Freak Joe! You're going nowhere!
One.
I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of lead time!
Two.
You got no backup here. I'm calling in Veronica. Veronica, give me a hand.
Y'all fools get busy.
Three.
Clobbering time.
Oh, this is not anything to do with Naruto.
All right, anyway, welcome back to the Dallas podcast. I am the Elder Dadless, one of several that make up a wonderful collective of the same name. Today is the triumphant return of the Roaming Nomad, Vic Dadless. Today we're going to talk movies. Movies and upcoming TV, anime, shit that's relevant to us. But it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of a drop because COVID pretty much took away all of 2020. So now everything's being redirected to 2021. And some shit is just dropped. Some shit is just canceled.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything's been canceled. Fucking gone to streaming. HBO has managed to piss off everybody.
HBO managed to say, hey, DC, we'll take your product. I think that's a good place to pick up. As far as DC had the chance to take the ball and run with the fact that COVID pretty much shut down everything as far as Marvel. Because I think the last that we had heard from anything after Endgame was the shows coming up for Disney+.
We got Far From Home.
Was it Far From Home?
We got Endgame and then Spider-Man Far From Home. And they kept pushing back Black Widow. And that's moved back so far. Last thing we got was Far From Home.
And then it kind of just went dark.
Yep.
So DC picked up the ball and said, hey, we have this new fan event that we want to do, the DC Fandom, I believe is what it was called. But that's where, I mean, they basically swooped in on the chance to present its portfolio for the upcoming year. I mean, they were already in talks about Wonder Woman. They had announced Batman with Robert Pattinson. James Gunn had already announced and teased at Suicide Squad. And then we had like an updated teaser basically for the movie. And then since it's like a trickle down into I think Aquaman 2 being confirmed. There's going to be a spinoff from the Suicide Squad movie for Peacekeeper, which is going to be like a DC work on HBO Max. There was also at some point going to be like a Batman Year One-esque, like a detective show that's supposed to lead into, I guess, what the Batman is going to be, the movie anyway. But it's like so far, with what we've seen from the trailer of Wonder Woman, I'm not interested.
I couldn't get through the first Wonder Woman.
I
I tried several times to watch it, couldn't do it. Just wasn't for me.
I mean, I'm awaiting the Snyder Cut to see how it turns out. I went back and watched Justice League. I hadn't seen it.
Dog shit.
A dog shit movie.
Dog.
It really is a dog shit movie. So it's interesting, or it's going to be interesting to see which way Zack Snyder really takes his cut, and because it's being broken down into like episodic
four like 1 hour blocks,
right? Basically a miniseries.
Yeah, it's gonna be a miniseries about an hour each, either 4 or 5, one of the two.
And I'm wondering how much the black and white's going to improve the overall product.
Is it supposed to be noir?
They're going to have it black and white, and then they're going to have it in color.
Oh, well, that's that's. I guess that's a thing.
But Justice League in itself, the whole movie, I don't know. It just wasn't.
From what reports were, the final product of the original movie that was released in theater, I believe 90% of it was cut, and they reshot everything. And then Snyder is taking it back, and I think he scrapped everything but like maybe a couple scenes, and he's shooting an entirely new movie.
Like I know he made an update to Steppenwolf.
Yes,
I
drastically changed that character design.
He looks like a metal logo now. I know the original cut for Superman was for him to return with the black suit.
Yep.
I
think we're getting that now in the Snyder Cut.
I think there's more Cyborg.
I would imagine so. There has to be more of everyone. So yeah, the Snyder Cut's going to be a 4-part miniseries, streaming exclusively on HBO in March.
I mean, I think that was a good move for DC, because DC in itself, like the DC network, I don't know if they were really doing that great to begin with as a streaming service, because I don't know how many fans were really just exclusively subscribing to like a DC network. Whereas Disney, I mean, that's like in comparison to Marvel did something like that.
I don't know if DC did have a streaming service.
Yeah, it was.
They did. That's where the Teen Titans was aired.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
And I haven't heard anything about that since it has aired.
I mean,
oh, it's on HBO.
I wanted. Yeah, they took everything. It's basically just a little subcategory on HBO Max. But I mean, I'm anticipating what's going to be dropped. I know. I mean, if they are going to end up doing the Flashpoint movie, that seems like it'd be dope, because I know they want to do Michael Keaton, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and maybe Pattinson.
They would, at this point, probably have to, just to try to keep up with the Spideyverse that we are gonna get. It's all but confirmed. DC's very reactive, not proactive to what they do, it seems. To what they just react to Marvel. Marvel releasing the Spideyverse live action. DC's inevitably going to do Flashpoint and introduce multiple Batman or different renditions. Potentially do the new Batman. I can't remember his name. He's going to be the first black Batman.
I know what you're talking about.
That was just recently announced. They didn't do the new Batman. His business manager, Lucius Fox. Am I pronouncing that right? I think so. The guy Morgan Freeman played.
Yeah.
The guy Morgan Freeman played. So that's kind of cool. I could see them doing something with that. But but that seems pretty performative, and not that like DC really cares about pushing the black voice. Although they did have Static Shock, so maybe.
Which I'd like to see. I know.
Maybe. Who's to say?
By all accounts, from what I've read, I know DC saw a lot of its numbers from series. It's not so much DC movies that were like that was bringing everything in, but it was a lot of what was on TV. So it was like a lot of Arrow. What was it? Flash.
They did the Flashpoint Paradox.
There you go. The Crisis on Infinite Earth.
There it is, Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Like that was something that I guess brought in a lot of their business. And I mean, if that's a format that they need to continue to have to at least keep like their views up, for lack of better terms, I mean, so be it. But I feel like now it's almost a total wash. Maybe not a total wash, but I feel like that's biased on my part. But I feel like it's going to be overwhelming now that Marvel did their little event recently where they announced the portfolio for the year. And now we do have everything for WandaVision and for Falcon and...
well, that's been a format they've had going back to when they had phases in the MCU. So they would have a presser and they just announce movies 4 or 5 years in advance. They untitled Avengers Film 1-esque things, but they've been doing it for a while, and from my observation, DC just reacted to it, copied it. But who knows? DC has a lot of interesting characters they could play with, and they just fall flat on their face because execution is bad. And look at Swamp Thing. That show was great. I don't understand why that got canceled so quickly.
I want to say it's because the characters themselves aren't like well, as far as Swamp Thing goes, Swamp Thing is a very like C or D list,
super
DC
obscure character.
Like no one's gonna know
super
Swamp Thing,
obscure,
you know, unless you had some inkling of Swamp Thing before, like the Swamp Thing movies from like fucking I think like 89, something like that, like 87.
Let's find out. Give me one sec.
But then there was also like a Swamp Thing cartoon. I mean, no one was gonna know about Swamp Thing, but I feel like
82.
Oh shit! All right.
Swamp Thing 1982, and they had a TV series from 90 to 93.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, well, I mean, you can say the same thing about Marvel too, as well, though.
Yeah, because Stan Lee didn't even know who the Guardians were when that movie was announced.
Oh, Guardians were
super obscure.
Guardians, like the original Guardians, the characters that were portrayed in Guardians 2 by Sylvester Stallone, Yondu, and then the ending credits with with the other Raptors that showed up.
Yeah,
that was an homage to the original lineup. But even then, they were like a very D-list set of characters. I mean, but it's the same thing for Groot. Groot ultimately started as a villain in the Hulk.
Yep.
Who was very much like a Galactus type character, not as all.
Yeah, he was a world conqueror.
He was like a world eater, basically.
Yeah, he'd just show up, destroy the world, and move on to the next kind of situation.
But I mean, both brands have a lot of that. DC ultimately can do a lot with maybe TV series. Like if you dipped into like the Batman Brave and the Bold character set.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they touched on that a little bit with that Crisis on Infinite Earth, where they dipped into certain heroes. I think even going forward with Black Adam's already announced that they're going to have like Dr. Fate and the Atom. They were characters that I know that were like in the Justice League animated series. Well, Dr. Fate I know is like a long running, is basically the Doctor Strange for the DC universe.
I remember him being in the Justice League. Yeah, he had a little like a mini arc, like a half season where he was dedicated to his story. Couldn't tell you much about it, but I do
No.
remember vaguely
Like
that he was there.
they have plenty of people that they could do like a series. I know at one point they were pulling for like a Booster Gold movie or like a series of some kind. I only know because the Miz was trying to like go out for that, which is like, hey, good for the Miz, like fucking go for it, dude. But I mean, now you have John Cena playing Peacemaker.
There it is.
Peacemaker. But there are also a bunch of in comparison, the amount of characters that DC has that they can use, it's like a lot of them end up coming out in the like the animated movies. The animated works that DC has are like they're fucking incredible. They're amazing. A lot better than like the animated stuff that Marvel's done in the past, which is more. I mean, it's more kid friendly, I would say. Whereas DC is like, let's make this something that like teens and
I think it comes back to the fundamental name of the of DC and Marvel. Marvel's geared towards children, whereas DC is Detective Comics. I mean, just the name alone, it's going to be geared towards the older generation.
I feel like with a name like DC Comics, it's almost the name itself is almost fluid. Like it's not, you could do so much with it. I mean, as far as like, this is going to be very like noir-esque in nature, and it's going to be geared towards an older audience. Whereas, or you could do something, I guess, a little lighter in tone. But I mean, that's something that I myself would like to see from DC, is especially with like the Batman movies, is something a little grimier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just look at the animated films that they've done with The Killing Joke, Death in the Family.
Nonetheless, I feel like that's the direction that DC should go as far as moving forward with what they're trying to put out. But then again, I mean, they're also, I feel like it's kind of an arms race because you're trying to cover different demographics and you're trying to keep people interested. But I mean, in comparison, you could say that Marvel's maybe fell flat in certain areas, like with I mean, but there was also different variables with what was being dropped. New Mutants was watching New Mutants.
Oh, that's right. That finally did get released. I forgot about that.
Watching New Mutants, you can see where it was real shaky as far as like the plot and the story, just the way that the characters were being built up. It was a shaky movie. It was good for like a first movie, but I mean that was the case with like the main Avengers movies. Like Captain America was so.
Yeah,
a lot better than Thor.
Very underdeveloped.
A lot better than Thor. Thor's fucking, the first Thor movie was dog shit.
The first two were pretty rough.
And it wasn't until like Ragnarok. But look at the director behind it. Taika Waititi's a fucking killer. But I mean, I guess that's where, again, jumping back to DC, where they can recover, because they also have James Gunn, who's also like in that league, in that character of Taika Waititi, where he can direct, projects fucking to like another level. He could bring like a certain pizzazz to what's going on.
Yeah, but the same thing could be said with Joss Whedon. He was as high as you can be as high as he was off the Avengers films, and then he went and did Justice League, and
it wasn't good.
It was just a horrible movie.
And then I feel like
a lot of lazy writing.
Yeah, obviously it's a number of things that affect what's going on in the movie, but I mean, yeah, it has to do with direction, it has to do with the writing, what's going on, and so that's why I'd like to see, as far as where DC goes, how they try to pick up the ball and run with what's going on. Like the last time that I sat down and talked with Jose about it. Jose was more than sure that DC was gonna fucking just take the ball and go, but it's like Marvel's laying in the cut right now because that's what was going on. There was a shutdown, obviously, but now that the opportunity is showing itself into the new year, Marvel was like, hey, here's what we have in comparison to what DC has. And I feel like it's a lot stronger of a presentation. WandaVision in itself, I'm pretty psyched about because it's basically the storyline for House of M. A lot of the universe is revolving around Doctor Strange being like this main figurehead with the Spider-Man movie, WandaVision, with the announcement of Fantastic Four. You can also do, and then having like this now new subject of the multiverse. We can go, well, I mean, not even just with the multiverse, but with the with what was laid down in Captain Marvel, we have Secret Wars or Secret Invasion. With the introduction of Fantastic Four, we can do Secret Wars, which
we have a Secret Invasion,
and then with
that was announced for 2022, I believe.
I know Secret Invasion was,
but that's a Nick Fury. So who's to say what other Avengers will be in it?
But again, like with the introduction of Fantastic Four, who's to say that we couldn't do Secret Wars? Who's to say with the introduction of this new the Spider-Verse anyway, that we won't see the bombastic Bagman? Hey. And then, because then that leads into the introduction of the symbiotes with the Venom movie.
Those are now part of the MCU.
I mean, it's going forward in such a way that, I mean, we don't know. We really don't know how many phases they have lined up.
Marvel has talked about having movies planned all the way out to 2035. Tom Holland has publicly talked about playing Spider-Man for the next 20 years of his
like into adulthood.
This is his career, playing Spider-Man.
Basically, like in the vein of like a Robert Downey Jr. Or Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, supposedly they were like, if they introduce a multiverse, he would maybe do like.
I'm sure he'd come back for a quick little shoot.
I mean, I don't know that
they could probably CGI his body because that man is too old to get fit to be Wolverine again. He could do it. He's done it. I don't think he wants to anymore. I think that's why he walked away from the franchise. It's just too strenuous for him. I
mean, but you could even pick up where they left off with X-23.
Yeah.
Which would be fucking amazing. I know she talked about it. That the actress that played X-23 anyway.
But Hugh Jackman he would dehydrate himself for 3 days.
Yeah. Just
before
to get the
any shirtless scene.
Just to get the cuts.
Just to be as cut as possible and as veiny, I guess. I don't know. But one thing Marvel really benefits from that DC hasn't yet is that they've been able to continue their story. Whereas DC, it feels like they've redone their universe several times already. Suicide Squad count? No, it doesn't. Jared Leto? No. All right, we got a new Joker. Joaquin Phoenix killed it, but he's not part of the Deku. So it's just it's fragmented beyond belief. And Marvel's only dove deeper with Disney Plus because now WandaVision, The Winter Soldier and Falcon, or all these other shows are canon to the MCU. If you want to keep up, you have to watch these shows.
I mean, because I'm sure they won't. I'm sure it'll lay down hints at what's going on in the universe, but I mean, unless they have it locked into where a lot of the shows will tie up loose ends or will like give us glimpses into like the future of the Marvel universe. I mean, I feel like they could pretty much go anywhere they want, honestly.
Yeah, they have so many opportunities. Once they introduce the Beyonder, Celestials, and all these other gods in their universe, they can, if they want to, they could bring Robert Downey Jr. back, and you really couldn't bat an eye to it. I don't know if he would ever come back. I don't know if the fans would like it. It would diminish the death.
Yeah.
It would diminish. It would shit on everything they've done. But if they wanted to, they could, and it would make sense. Canonically, it would make sense.
I think it would make sense now because we've introduced the multiverse. We've introduced the idea of opening up just like splits in time and being like, hey.
Yeah, that would be fairly well received, I would imagine, if they did a multiverse and he just did a quick little cameo. But if he came back and he was just full-time Iron Man, I couldn't imagine that people would like it after the initial shock of him coming back.
You know, talking about that, what I'm looking forward to, not in a positive way, but ultimately, I'm curious to see what people say about the introduction of I think
Ironheart?
Yeah, because
Yeah, the comic wasn't received very well.
the comic wasn't received very well, but it's not only that. It's fans of nerd culture are like the lowest key racist. Like there's a lot of intolerance that goes on. I mean, especially with the introduction of characters that aren't like that are slated as one ethnicity and then are changed to something else. Especially with the casting of like a black character, of a black woman being fucking, you know, like taking up the mantle of Iron Man. Whereas we introduced Tony Stark's daughter, and I think even that little girl said that she would fucking play.
Yeah, she talked about being Iron Kid, or no, that was the kid he met in Iron Man 3. He talked about being Iron Lad.
That suit has a name.
I think, I'm not
That
sure.
suit has a name, but I don't know what the fuck it's called.
But there's a story with his daughter picking up the mantle.
Yeah.
And the actress said she'd be willing to do it. I mean,
Because for sure you're not gonna have fucking Pepper do it.
yeah.
I don't even think
I
she.
don't think Gwyneth Paltrow's coming back. I think she's done.
I think she's done. I think she's like.
I think they're gonna write her out.
But it's, I mean, again, to jump back to DC, it's the same thing with the new recasting of Batwoman, and people were like, "Well, fucking burn down buildings and shit." The same thing with Starfire being black. It's
Oh,
not.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's to even say that. Well, I mean, people made a big deal about the idea of recasting Black Panther, but I mean, based on comics, Shuri takes up the mantle. So,
Yeah, and from what Disney has released, they were already trying to head that way. Eventually, writing out Chadwick.
I mean, unless you're gonna bring back Killmonger, sorry. But it's like Marvel. I don't know that
Again,
Marvel has.
I can't imagine that they would do it. It would just diminish the death. It'd defeat the entire point of the first Black Panther.
I feel like it would be a lazy angle to introduce Killmonger.
Yeah,
In
to
some
bring him
way-
back, it'd be very lazy.
In some way, being like, well, we kind of just had his body chilling. Like we knew this was gonna happen.
Like, I couldn't imagine even if they were like, "Oh, this is Killmonger from Earth 615."
Yeah.
That seems lazy. And Marvel is by no means perfect, but I just can't imagine they would do it.
I am looking forward to the introduction of Namor, though. With that,
Yeah,
I would love to see
Yep.
fucking. I would love
they've
to
been
see.
teasing it for a while.
I would love to see the angle of Shuri as Black Panther, but also introducing fucking Namor. But I'm also looking forward to fucking Beta Ray Bill, because I think we're finally gonna get him in Love and Thunder.
Are we?
I believe so. I think I might be talking shit, but
I don't know.
I know Love and Thunder is gonna be or was it Guardians 3? One of the two. One of the two is supposed to have some good shit in it.
Love and Thunder. They just recently announced some stuff about it, so I'd imagine that. I don't know if we got anything about Guardians yet. Oh, it's a Christmas movie.
That Christmas special that's
Yeah, it's
coming out.
like, no, I thought the movie was gonna be like a Christmas movie.
There is a Christmas special,
Oh,
but
maybe I don't know.
but they're also gonna. I think Guardians 3 is pushed back because, I mean, I know Gunn had the script, but I think he was also working on DC at the time.
So was that when he was relieved of his duties?
Yeah, when he was kicked out. Which is also pretty crazy because I would think that a guy like James Gunn would be too beneficial to Disney at this point, as far as Marvel. That's like letting fucking Happy go.
They had to say face.
Favreau's gonna fucking stay. Filoni's gonna stay now because of how well that they've done on fucking Star Wars. I could honestly say from a fan perspective, I'm not crazy about all the Star Wars drops. I think it's a little too much. I don't know. I really don't know where it's going. Yeah, Vic ain't a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know, man. haven't watched it. Not for me. Gave it a shot. Didn't work out.
They announced the Lando series. What if fucking Gambino's Lando?
I'd watch it. Actually,
and it's just like Atlanta.
Perfect.
It's nothing fucking
Perfect.
crazy. It's just Atlanta in space.
Let's do it. I actually didn't even watch the Solo movie, and that's when Bino was in it. But
He really didn't do much.
That's what I heard. I heard he didn't get a lot of screen time,
It was
so I
just like
wasn't a
Bino.
huge fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's reports that Beta Ray will be in the MCU in Love and Thunder. Nothing concrete, and it's all fan speculation pretty much. But it seems to be a growing point.
I know at one point when they had introduced Christian Bale,
Oh yeah, there was
people
that
were
theory.
speculating that it was going to be
He's going to be a
Beta Ray.
villain.
But he's a villain. Well, they already showed. They
Beta Ray kind of was a villain when he first meets up with Thor, steals the hammer and all that.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is that he stole.
Mjolnir.
No, he stole the new hammer.
Originally,
He stole the new hammer. The hammer that he has
Stormbreaker.
is the hammer that he has in the comics is Stormbreaker.
Yeah, from my understanding, he stole Mjolnir, and
Unless they just traded.
yeah, because Thor was like, "You're not taking my hammer, but we'll get you one.
Like we'll
Like
give you one of
you're
of-
worthy,
of
so we'll
equal
get
value."
you one, so you can go save your people." And then he got Stormbreaker, and he just dips.
But Beta Ray's a fucking hitter. I'd love to see fucking guys like Silver Surfer introduced and Galactus.
If they do Secret Wars, they have to.
if we're doing
If they're
Fantastic Four,
if we're getting
we gotta-
Fantastic Four, we have
we-
to get. I mean,
I feel like Galactus.
there's no way you don't.
I feel like Galactus and Silver Surfer would be a whole ass arc
Yeah, that in itself could be an entire phase.
because I feel like Silver Surfer would have to be an antagonist for a while.
Yeah, the redemption arc would be ridiculous.
But I mean, I think just the characters that they're going to give us moving forward is going to be pretty well received, especially because we have like Kang the Conqueror coming in and Ant-Man. But I've never watched Ant-Man 1
No,
or 2.
it's good.
Haven't seen them.
Ant-Man the Wasp is good.
But I feel like I have to watch them to know what's going to go on in the new one.
I feel like Ant-Man and Wasp is good because of how it ties into Infinity War. Because the timetable it gives us.
Yeah. I think
I think that's one thing that helped me receive the movie so well.
was because of the introduction of the multiverse initially, right?
Yeah, there was the hints of the multiverse. Well, I mean, the multiverse in itself, and then all the entire time the movie's happening, that is when Infinity War is happening also. So the fact that Ant-Man and Wasp came out first, but we had no idea what was going on until Infinity War.
I think aside from like
I could have that backwards. Infinity War might have come out first, and then Ant-Man and Wasp.
I think aside from the introduction of like Eternals, where we're now moving into space.
Yeah, we got Celestials.
I think moving forward with like the characters that we're used to so far, especially now with the series, I think they're gonna dip a lot more into the multiverse idea. I think that's gonna be something that's utilized like a great deal going forward. Especially because I mean, I can only speculate what's going to happen with like the Eternals because I'm not too sure. Like, I'm not familiar with them at all.
Yeah, I can't say I've read those comics either.
But it's like at least with storylines that are already established, as far as like with WandaVision and the House of M storyline, what's going on with Doctor Strange, and like we know that Morbo more than likely is going to be an antagonist, especially with the introduction of Doctor Strange having a hand in the Spider-Verse, and then Spider-Verse now introducing I mean, I think it's fair to say that Sinister Six is going to be introduced.
They have everybody, but
I don't think we have a
we have Doc Ock coming back. We have
Kraven. I don't think
we do not have a Kraven.
We don't have a Kraven.
But if we get Kraven, do we get a Last Hunt?
That is a good question.
But if we get a Last Hunt, that means it'd have to be in another in another universe, because Tom Holland, I believe, is signed on for another 4 or 5 movies.
Maybe that's Maguire.
Maybe Maguire gets the axe.
Maybe that's Maguire or Garfield. I don't know. I mean, you have three. You have three ends that you could tie up.
At least, because who knows if they do a Spideyverse, we would probably get other Spider-Man. I couldn't imagine they're only going to give us the 3.
Because I know at some point,
I'm sure they would tease others.
At some point, the move for Miles is going to happen.
Yeah, we have to get a Miles. They will most definitely do a Miles Morales movie.
I feel
they've
like
teased it already.
I feel like the reception by fans of the comics for Miles, and then with him, being introduced in Spider-Verse anyway, and then people that weren't too familiar with the comics being introduced to Miles Morales, I think it was like I think that was too big of a hit to not utilize him. I mean, you're making whole fucking video games about him.
Yeah, so the original Spider-Man on PS4 had Miles, and from my understanding, that was one of the highlights of it all. I enjoyed him being in the game. Didn't get to play as him, but with the new Spider-Man coming out, it's his game, it's his story. That was received very well. The comics have been received phenomenally. It doesn't make sense if they wouldn't give us a Miles Morales. It just comes down to casting.
Didn't one of the movies introduce Bino as Prowler?
Yes, the first Homecoming.
There you go.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Donald Glover played Miles Morales' uncle, and they teased it. When he gets webbed to his car. He's my nephew lives in the neighborhood. Never dropped a name, but it's Miles Morales.
It's Miles Morales, yeah, because his character was he was slated as the actual name, his actual like government name, but in the comics it's Prowler.
Aaron Davis, there it is. So yeah, he played Donald Glover played Aaron Davis in Homecoming, and they teased it, but yeah, it just come down to casting, in my opinion. You would have to make this movie. Disney has monopolized so many things, and they've made moves strictly on money. I mean, their business, that's what they do. It doesn't make sense that they don't make this movie.
I mean, it'd have to happen. I feel like they would have to cast someone who would be willing to undergo like that. I mean, because contractually in the past, Marvel's slated people for several years going forward. I mean, I think it's fair to say, even with like well, I mean, look at fucking Robert Downey. He was in like the very first phases leading back to Hulk. So I mean, I can only assume that you would have to cast someone who could carry the character for some time.
Okay, so the looks like the only obstacle that Disney would have to clear is that Miles Morales is a Sony character.
You're fucking, yeah, I believe it. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense though.
But if they'd cut a deal just like they did with the Venom movies, I would imagine. I don't know. If Sony makes the movie, I don't know how that would come out.
I mean, that's true. I don't know how it would come out. I know, like, as far as Venom went,
That's a pretty good movie. It's kind of lazy writing, but it was a fun little. It's an hour and a half, 2 hour movie. Did not tell a very good story, but it's what a comic movie was before the MCU.
yeah,
It was action.
I think a lot of fans were like anticipating a big drop for Venom, for someone as popular as Venom, but then it fell flat. Not to say as flat as like a DC movie, but it wasn't. I mean, it was like phase 1 in nature.
When I watched the Venom movie, I was waiting for a character to drop, like in the second Deadpool, when Juggernaut came out. That's what I was looking for. We never got it. At least I didn't feel like that. It was a decent movie, but
I mean, other than like the other symbiotes, but even then, I mean, you have to be pretty familiar with the Venom universe to get the references of the symbiotes. like the other antagonists in the movie that were, taking on like the small symbiote forms, and leading up to like the main antagonist of the movie that Tom Hardy fights at the end. Like I think that's a whole Venom arc, to be honest, like those different symbiote forms.
Oh, that's right. They teased Carnage. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, I think that's
That'd be it's the second one.
the second one is going to be.
So we had Riot. Obviously Venom. I think they teased Anti-Venom. Obviously Carnage. Possibly Toxin. Okay, sorry. Here we go. So we got Riot. We got Phage. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Toxin, Venom, and Carnage. I can't say I'm very familiar with any of these besides Carnage, and even then, not a whole lot. Every time they were gonna do it in any movies or games, they got canceled before.
I mean, other than like, I know Carnage from like the animated series.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's like about the extent that I know Carnage. I mean, nonetheless, I think it would be cool to see a movie in which we see Venom being introduced into the Marvel Universe with Spider-Man at some point. But then again, it'd also be cool to see fucking Deadpool in the MCU. At least introduced anyway. Which, I mean, I think with basically that the way that they did Infinity War and Endgame, you could probably do that with the characters that we have. You could throw them into like a Secret Invasion or a Secret Wars anyway. And then we have Oscar Isaac coming in as fucking Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, he's gonna kill some people.
It's gonna be sick. Oh no, but then Oscar Isaac is also Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac is gonna be Moon Knight in the Marvel Universe.
Oh, yep.
I don't know how that's gonna go. Unless they just keep it separate. I really don't know.
I don't know. Tom Hardy played the same person twice in a movie.
Did he?
Yeah. The judge or the lawyer movie you told me about before. It was starring Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Method acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel is as of right now, it's leading itself in a direction, and I mean it's fair to say that they have enough to get them through. Maybe, I mean, as of right now, before you can speculate anymore, is maybe like 2 or 3 years worth of material to hold us over. At least to set up whatever their next storyline is going to be.
The movie's called Legend, that Tom Hardy played twins.
The Cranes, right? The Cray twins? Or Crane?
Rather identical twin gangsters, Reggie and Ronnie Cray.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is Wolverine. That was speculation.
People have cast Tom Hardy as every comic book character you could imagine. I think there was at one point they were trying to get him to play Punisher, Daredevil.
Hey, Bernthal. Keep Bernthal.
Craven.
I'd see him as Craven.
Well, Bernthal's coming back. That's all but confirmed.
And Daredevil.
Yeah. Daredevil's coming back.
But didn't they mention Daredevil in Civil War?
No, I don't believe so. But they could have easily done it since he's a lawyer.
But I feel like a movie hinted at that.
They
It's
might
just
have.
like I have a lawyer in Hell's Kitchen. Just that's it. Like nothing more, nothing less.
They might have. I wouldn't be surprised. They did do that with their movie or with the TV series.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that there is enough material as far as either brand goes that's to kind of set up the scape of what 2021 and 2022 is going to be. Outside of that, there are plenty of other movies and TV that are coming out. I know Game of Thrones is. I know they announced like the House of Dragons.
I believe the
Something
House
like
of
that.
Dragons. They talked about it being like its own universe.
Which is mainly
that it's not going to be a one show spin-off.
But to my understanding, unless there was like the early mentionings of it, wasn't It's based around just like the Targaryen lore,
Yeah,
right?
so the next one coming out is just based on Targaryen. It's their dad. No, not their dad.
Like the one the patriarch before, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be Targaryens.
So I'm wondering if that's the same project that they mentioned where it was the First Men, where they basically introduced the idea of the First Men that arrived and that ultimately become the first White Walkers, or if that's just going to be a separate thing in itself as well. I mean, aside from that, I know Amazon is going to be receiving, or is still slated to have to host the Lord of the Rings series, the Silmarillion series. I mean, I don't know where they're at with it, but it I think all accounts was to be announced anyway.
So it was announced back in 2017, and they have not given us much information since, aside from the fact that it's big budget, very big budget. I feel like I saw a number somewhere around like $1 million per episode, something to that effect. I know they're back in New Zealand for it. But yeah, they are diving headfirst into it, and I don't know, it seems a little late to be getting on the Lord of the Rings like hype train. Like, it's been a while since we've had a movie,
Especially since like The Hobbit.
yeah. Like The Hobbit was, I thought it was received very well. I enjoyed the movie. I don't know, I feel like Lord of the Rings didn't have quite the cult following like Harry Potter did. Like, even now with all the everything going on with J.K. Rowling, people still love this like thing she's created.
I mean, I feel like it definitely ran a specific course. I feel like there was a time and place for Lord of the Rings as far as nerd culture went. Anyway, I mean, the same way that, you know, Twilight had a place in like teen fiction for us at one point, where it was like Divergent and
Oh, that was a bad series.
Twilight and the other one, The Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, yeah.
I feel like definitely there was a period for it, but I mean, I would agree that it seems pretty like it's lost at this point. Or not a total loss, but it isn't as relevant anymore. I feel like it's like there's a market for it, but is it?
Yeah, there's definitely a market for it, but it just doesn't seem like they've been cultivating it as they should have been. Because you can go to Universal and you can walk through Diagon Alley. I don't know who the fuck's flying out to New Zealand to go through
To go to Hobbiton. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seems like they could have cultivated it a little better. And yeah, so it's gonna be huge budget. It's about $1 billion. Is what's being reported by the Hollywood Reporter.
I mean, but the same could be said with, I mean, just in comparison as far as budget goes, they could definitely do it. Studios are over here shelling out the money for, what is that, Jack Reacher show? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Dude, that's super big budget.
Yeah, but that's there's a Scientology cult behind it. So
Is it really?
Tom Cruise.
Oh, well, Tom Cruise, huh?
Tom Cruise.
Isn't it Krasinski, though?
Is it Krasinski? I didn't.
I think it's Krasinski. I could be wrong, but I think that's why the budget is like, I know it's, from what I've read, it's been described as like basically fucking a movie every episode. Or at least, you know, like segments of a movie per episode. But it's not like studios won't put money up for it if they believe it to be relevant. But I mean, I feel like I've said it in the past with Jose, though, as there is like a soft spot for period pieces of that kind, whereas we are very open to receiving shows and movies that are set in that type of time period. I mean, like Lord of the Rings, for example, Game of Thrones, The Witcher, Vikings. Shows like that, period pieces like that, are very well received. So I feel like it's not like you can't count it out.
So yeah, it is Krasinski in the Tom Clancy's Jack Reacher.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, but I mean, again, to compare it to that, as budget wise anyway, it's like studios will pay for it. It's just a matter of whether it is a loss or, you know, if it makes a good run. Because for all we know, fuck, it could get canceled after a season. But I mean, I feel like works of that kind, like the Silmarillion, are a little lost. They're lost on people who aren't well versed in that universe. I feel like that's a universe that not a lot of people are too sharpened up on.
So I misspoke. It's Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, which apparently gets commonly confused
With Jack Reacher.
Okay, so apparently there's Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, which is led by John Krasinski, and there is going to be a Jack Reacher TV series, but they don't have much information on it yet. So who knows what happens with that?
Nonetheless,
They need to stop naming people Jack. You can give other action movie names.
I know.
Give me an Ace or something.
Fuck yeah, Clint.
Yeah, there we go. Clint.
Buck.
Cletus. I don't know.
Samson.
There you go.
I had ran the idea by Jose. What would you think of a Harry Potter based long form series, like as a show? I only wonder because I'm going back and I'm going through the books now, like as a functioning person, as an adult, and I feel like the same way that The Witcher impacted me reading them, I feel like long form is the way that you could really set like a tone with a series. You could do so much more with it.
TV series could work. It just seems difficult to do when you already have given us 8 movies, a spin-off. I don't know how you can recreate this content and make me care about these characters, because no matter what, Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. Like,
animated.
Yeah, you could do an animated series, and you just take his likeness.
I feel like you could. I feel like you could almost set it to a specific tone where, as the seasons go on, they just get visually like darker to fit the tone of each book, to fit the mood of each book. But it would have to be animated.
I feel like if they did a series on it, I think they'd probably be better off if they gave us something to the effect of like Voldemort's backstory, and then leading us to the movies, but just to recreate Chamber of Secrets and so on, and just go down the line. I couldn't imagine that'd be received very well after the initial shock of, guys, it's coming back. Look at Fuller House. That was received very well at first, and I think it only got 3 seasons. Everyone was just on the nostalgia of what it was, and it never lived up to the hype of what they remembered. So I couldn't imagine that a TV series, a remake, would be received very well after the first season.
Well, so I don't disagree with that. Because in comparison to like Crimes of Grindelwald, or the whole story with Newt Scamander and stuff, it is very like it rides a fine line of fandom, because not you're either like a big Harry Potter head and you're into the universe, or you're a casual and you enjoy it, but it's also like, why? It's almost a comparison to Star Wars. It's like, why?
Yeah, I don't really feel like Mythical Beasts and Where to Find Them is doing anything more for the franchise besides getting more money. I don't think it's doing anything for the fan base. I think it's just
Like, I know that they've teased a future works. I believe it, presumably that it would be Cursed Child, because they talked about bringing
I
the
forgot you
older
did that
cast
other
back,
book.
but it's like, how well received would that be? Like, do you want to see fucking old Harry Potter? Do you want to see?
I think it would have been received very well before J.K. Rowling came out and did all the stuff she's done. She's alienated a lot of her previous demographic.
I feel like it contradicts a lot of what she's done, because you have some choice words to say, but then also your characters are of that likeness. Like, you run back, you try to circle around by saying, like, well, Dumbledore's gay, and Hagrid, or I think Hagrid was like a thing, right? Hagrid was gay or something.
I think there was like talks of it. I don't know if that ever became canon. She did come out and say that Dumbledore was gay.
I think that was the very first one.
Yeah, that was super early too. Like that was received very well, and people were with it, and they're just, oh cool, whatever, let's go, let's keep this going. And then she just put her foot in the ground.
Shit the bed.
Yeah, she shit the bed on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the one Asian character she had, Cho Chang. Like, yeah, it was cool to see someone of a different ethnicity, but Cho Chang, we could have done better.
I mean, it's not totally out of the realm of possibility, because I feel like, unlike the United States, England has a lot more of a diverse cast of ethnicities that they see as compared to us. And I mean, the cast had a diverse palette to begin with. I mean, I feel like if Harry Potter was made in the US, it would be a lot different. I feel like we wouldn't be seeing too many shades of different colors, you know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
But I mean, being that I feel like England sees enough foot traffic from different parts of the world to where, like, it's easier for them to diversify a cast, even with just, well, no, never mind, it was made over here. I was gonna say the M. Night Shyamalan movie, but
oh well,
that was just him recreating a universe that didn't need to be fiddled with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's also something, Netflix and their last Airbender show. But
yeah, but the original writers walked.
Yeah, they were out.
So who knows how that's going to be.
M. Night Shyamalan, tag him back in.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan, tag that fool back in. He's going to be like, I'm back. And guess what? I have a new twist.
10 earthbenders to move a single rock. What a bad movie.
It's no Dragon Ball Evolution.
I haven't watched it. Can't. I didn't even watch Avatar on purpose. I watched it on Facebook on accident.
But I think like how I watched fucking that Pokemon movie.
Yep. I was like, oh, cool, little clip, and then hour later,
I'm
like,
like,
the whole movie. Let's do this.
I'm like, wow, that was a nice clip. I feel like there's I know there was a studio that was slated for a Dragon Ball Z movie, an adaptation anyway. I think to run it back to I guess the idea of popular series or popular franchises being brought back as I guess in a different format is comparable to that of like Game of Thrones. But
so yeah, Dragon Ball Z is slated to have a new live action movie.
Does it say who's running it? The studio?
No, but they are saying that it is a completely Asian cast. Let me keep reading, see if I can find the studio.
But I mean, I again, like in comparison to franchises that are successful or that found success in one way or another, like Game of Thrones, much like The Witcher now, much like Harry Potter, that's stood a pretty sturdy. They've kept a good foot in the game as far as I don't know if you would say cultural significance, but significance as far as entertainment goes. I mean, it's still strong. I I mean, there's plenty of franchises like that you could do a lot with anyway. I mean, that's not to say that there's total flops. I mean, look at, I feel like now more than ever, we are trying to pander to younger demographics, much like, I mean, I think it's just a matter of relevance anyway. Kind of like they brought back Saved by the Bell, but for kids that are, I mean, shit, in their early teens.
So it's reported that the Dragon Ball Z movie is going to be a Disney Plus.
The Russo brothers are back.
But this article was written back in April.
Get Favreau on that.
I don't know how credible this is.
We'll just say it's going to be on Disney. We'll believe that it's.
I mean, it's on IMDb.
We'll will it.
So
we'll will it into existence. I think that'd be pretty sick. I think they
that'd
could
be
do a lot
interesting.
With that. I think they could do a lot with it. I mean, if they're willing to keep Deadpool in the MCU and keep it rated R, you could do a lot with fucking. If you could make Mulan an action movie, you can make Dragon Ball Z. They have the money.
I don't know. It just Dragon Ball seems so tired. Every game is the exact same. It's the same storyline. They don't add anything. They just change the graphics a little bit. I mean, going back to the Game Boy. Oh my God, what is that game called? Legacy of Goku.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Legacy of Goku. It's the exact same game as the Kakarot game that came out earlier this year. Same storyline.
Yeah.
Same storyline. Like nothing's changed. We don't even get to play as in Dragon Ball storyline or Dragon Ball Super storyline. It's all Dragon Ball Z.
But currently, I don't know where the fuck Dragon Ball Z is.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I haven't been able to watch much of Super. I watched the Broly movie. That was tight, but
that was dope. But I don't. They're not even in Super anymore. I don't think. I think it moved on to like a new series.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Because I think
the last I heard was Ultra Instinct, and I thought that was the end of it.
They're like,
I have no idea.
They're in a totally different place now. I feel like Dragon Ball Z is one of those franchises that they want to push as much of it, like to try to keep it running strong. But it's like there's so much more that I guess overshadows the idea of it. I mean, fuck, it's like where One Piece is still pretty strong, I would say. Not even trying to be biased about it. But they're trying to tie up the loose ends. The only thing that's a little surprising about it is like the voice actor for Luffy came out with a statement, and she was like, "I don't know if I'll be alive when One Piece ends, but I hope that you guys accept my successor."
Yeah, I did see that.
That's fucking crazy.
I think the big difference between not the story of One Piece and Dragon Ball Z, but the scaling. One Piece came out and they set out to... Oda came out and he's just... This is a marathon. I got a story to tell. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do it. Whereas it feels like with Dragon Ball Z...
It's like once arcs are done, it's done. New arc.
It seemed like Dragon Ball was... that story wrapped up fine. All right, we're done with it. Oh, more money? All right, we'll do Dragon Ball Z. Okay, now we'll do GT. That doesn't count, actually. Never mind. All right, we'll do Super. And it just...
But now we'll
continues to go...
We'll bring back certain hints of GT.
At some point, you have to let the franchise go. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but I think Dragon Ball Z should end as a series.
Unless you have franchises like Doraemon. Doraemon is very like kid oriented. You can do a lot with it because you ultimately are using just new storylines, but it's like a very kid friendly show. It's basically like recycling Ninja Turtles to make it.
Okay, so
it's just
Pokemon.
It's Pokemon.
It's Pokemon.
It's Pokemon. It's just you can kind of just do different things with it, but it's, I mean, the same subject matter, Whereas Doraemon is like, hey, today my cat's stuck in a tree. Let's go fucking get him. Or I think other than like the manga, I think Doraemon in the manga like. It ended because the character in the manga has cancer and ends up dying, but Doraemon is there, and Doraemon goes away because Doraemon wasn't ever real. He was a figment of the kid's imagination.
What the fuck?
It was like Shin-Chan. Shin-Chan ended because Shin-chan gets hit by a car saving his sister. And
Oh,
it ends, but it's based on like an actual event. The writer was writing the story of his son who died because he saved his sister from a car accident. It's dark, dude. It's fucking dark, but it
super
ends.
dark.
You know, you cut it there, and you don't do any more with it. Whereas Dragon Ball, I mean, not so dark, but it's like arc. We got to keep it going because there are kids now that want to get into it. It's like, who said?
Yeah, it just seems like a.
It's almost like Shippuden, whereas Shippuden, it was like rough, because Homeboy just didn't want to fucking do it anymore. But he was like, I gotta just end it. But now we have Boruto.
But he's coming back for Boruto.
But Boruto is, I think, by all accounts, is being received a lot better than Shippuden. But I mean, manga right now is on such an uptick because there's so much of it, and there's so much of it to keep up with.
Yeah, and it really helps that it's that anime in general has become mainstream, and that it's very popular now.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense that there's more of it.
I mean, when you're seeing people like Michael B. Jordan teaming with clothing companies to make, like, you know, your limited series for fucking Naruto, it's relevant. It's relevant, maybe not to everybody, but it has a mainstream connection to people, you know, where you have like Megan Thee Stallion collaborating with clothing companies in the same aspect.
Yep.
And introducing anime, anime related, anime related product content. It has some kind of mainstream, like a foothold in what's relevant and what isn't. I mean, I think even Kanye West has a fucking anime coming out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's like a thing. I don't know how or where it's at, but I know it's something that has been talked about. Like, as far as anime fandom goes, there's so much of it. Whereas it's like, we have My Hero, but then around the same time we had Fire Force come out, and Demon Slayer, God of High School recently. This other fucking show,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
There you go. And that's doing hella strong. That right now is, like, I believe, one of the stronger animes that's going on.
Yeah, that's
next to the new,
very well received.
Next to the recent drop for My Hero, who the fandom is so deep that people are going to go back to it.
Yeah, there was actually a statement came out by Hirokoshi that the manga is probably coming to an end fairly soon.
Sooner than later, right?
No, like he's looking at the end of the tunnel soon. And I mean, just being current on it now, I don't know how he would continue the story. It seems like it's been leading that way for a while now.
But I wonder if, in that way, that you would wrap My Hero, but then also go and put in some time for the other spinoff. Was it Vigilante?
Oh yeah, Vigilantes.
And you would tie up that loose end.
I could see a time skip coming where we get My Hero Shippuden. I don't know. I could
like
see
a newer class.
Basically. No, just like a time skip, just like in One Piece. Just, all right, this arc ended. All right, 3 years later, Deku's a hero now. He's a full-fledged hero, and this is what's going on. Just so he could wrap up that he said, this is the story of how I become the number one hero.
But now this is my story moving forward.
Yeah. Like, we just get rid of a lot of filler. Personally, if we don't ever see him become the number one hero, legitimately become the number,
leave it up to speculation.
Yeah, basically. I would feel robbed in the sense that we were promised something by a creator, never got it.
It's like getting the tease of becoming the king of the pirates or becoming fucking the Hokage, but never seeing it.
And yeah, never seeing it.
It's pretty Pokemon.
Yeah, he
never
took 21 years.
Never being the fucking best.
He won last a couple years ago. Last year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Finally?
Yeah, he won one.
But
One.
Just one. Just one, but after like several recycled teams with just the most fundamental moveset. Give him the old thunder tackle.
There it is.
The old iron tail for that bit. I feel like there is a large landscape for anime moving forward, but it's like it's progressive.
Yeah, and especially with COVID not really going away
Anytime soon.
It's promoted anime because you can do your voice recording from home, you can animate from home, and you can create content separate. You don't have to be in person.
Yeah.
That's why Japan does it, because they don't have the real estate to make movies.
True.
So they just animate.
And
that's
then
the only option they had.
And the movies that they do make are largely based on like digital media, or they're animated, have some kind of CGI of some kind. Even the budget itself, like if in comparison to like Attack on Titan, the movie, a lot of that is physical effects and puppetry and very much like the old Toho style of like Godzilla-esque movies.
Oh yeah,
with the addition of digital effects and whatever, you know. Aside from that, while we're on that train, Yu Hakusho's getting a live action series.
Saw that. Don't know how I feel about that one.
Hey, at least it's not the
don't fuck it.
Like the musicals that Japan releases for like Naruto and One Piece.
That'd be fine. I'd be okay with that. I'd
Um,
stop playing Hamilton and just listen to the Naruto musical. Sounds tight.
So I guess as we wind down, basically to go over the gist of what we were getting at in this episode, there is a lot to look forward to coming down the pocket, as far as film, TV, anime. I mean, I think with the fact that 2020 was put on hold, everything's going to come into fruition. I guess like full-fledged into, like everything will come out in 2021, basically. I mean, I think there's plenty to look forward to. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty that bombs. Like we were saying before we started recording, one of the first articles that I read was a review for Monster Hunter with Mila Jovovich, and they were calling it a New Year's bomb. And this was before the initial drop date. So how are you going to fuck up before you even start the new year? But
yeah, this came out in 2020. This came out this year, and they're saying it's going to bomb for next year. So, I mean, any movie that's dropped in December, January pretty much is, unless it's a Christmas movie, they expect it to do shit. They're just trying to dump movies, and that's what this season is. They just get rid of whatever old projects they can't, that they don't think are going to sell very well.
I think with that being said, like I'm disappointed that Soul didn't get a lot of attention. Pixar Soul.
Is it out?
I think it's dropping the 25th.
Oh shit!
On Disney Plus.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm disappointed that didn't get any attention. But even then, when we took our trip to Florida, they had pictures of Soul, but there was no coverage of it. The same thing with Monster Hunter. There was really no coverage. It was just kind of talked about. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of movies that are going to kind of fall to the wayside. And it's like if people pick them up and watch them, they'll do okay. Or, I mean, they may just fall flat. You know, I think it's more a matter of who's going to do the most as far as marketing goes for what kind of picks up steam coming into the new year. I mean, I think that's why The Witcher held off for 2020. They didn't even slate anything for 2020. They were just straight up like, hey, 2021. And I think they come out like in October.
Yeah, they did pull everything, huh?
They didn't say one word. Whereas like Black Widow got held back several times, and then they were just like, hey, you know what? We're not even going to put on Disney Plus 2021.
Yeah, that's a summer release, early.
The same, whereas Disney said, we're going to go ahead and drop Mulan.
Oh, bad.
Did not do well.
No, well, they got rid of the songs, so what are we doing?
There's no dragons, no crickets, nothing.
It's not Mulan.
It was an action movie. But I mean, I think there's plenty to be done. I think there's going to be plenty said in 2021 as far as what we're going to be getting. I think it's just a matter of once it does drop, what we have to say going forward as viewers and as consumers of the products that are going to be given to us, you know? And that's, I mean, I think that's across the board. That's movies, that's TV, that's anime. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a real competitive market this coming year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With everyone streaming everything, and I mean, California is not getting anywhere near safe numbers for COVID. Theaters aren't going to open. Streaming is going to be what it's going to be.
I mean, and what's crazy is that in comparison to when we thought it was okay and we opened up theaters for that bit, Tenet was slated to come out. Tenet held steadfast in like that the 1 month that they were going to let it go.
They dropped it,
and then they pulled it right away.
Yeah.
But since it's dropped, like I was telling you off mic, it doesn't have any bad reviews.
No, I heard it was a phenomenal movie.
It doesn't have any bad reviews.
Super excited to watch it.
Like, and you know, I was trying to watch it this weekend, but it's like I don't want to buy it because I'm cheap. But I mean, $14. What is $14 in comparison to?
Yeah, going to the movies would have been $60.
Yeah, you know, for 2 tickets. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's more so that we're gonna have to get used to, you know, like your in-home streaming experience as opposed to going to the movies. I mean, I'm sure it'll come back at some point, but, I mean, I'm sure for now, like, you know, streaming is what it is, but you also have a bunch of these, I guess if you can call them like streaming giants that are all going to be volleying for who's got the better product, you know, whereas like HBO Max has already kind of set its place in where it's at. Netflix is still Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix isn't going anywhere. HBO is making a good push with the deal they made with Warner Bros.
And they have
that deal almost seems like it has to continue after 2021 because Warner Bros. Has done nothing but irritate movie theaters. Yeah. To the point where movie theaters have said, yeah, we'll take your movie, but we're going to sell tickets to where you get nothing back.
Which is nuts. But I mean, they've already given their full portfolio for 2021.
So yeah,
it's like, what are you going to do? You know, it's like a bunch of movies that were supposed to make this big impact during the year. Because of the way that the studio is running, now it's really up to how much you hype them up for us to stream them at home. Which I'm a little disappointed because I would have loved to have seen fucking King Kong and Godzilla in theaters.
Yeah, there's some movies that you have to experience with the community. I couldn't imagine being at home watching Endgame for the first time.
A big example of that is Quiet Place 2.
Yep. Krasinski came out and said that you have to experience this with people. It can't just be you in a room. It's not the same movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's the theater experience is what you should be looking forward to, as opposed to maybe trying to make sure that like that your kids are asleep. Maybe that you don't have to go to work in the fucking morning so that you could just sit and watch it. But I mean, it's more the atmosphere that makes the movie as opposed to, I mean, the movie in general, but the atmosphere is a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, yeah, like you said, I mean, I couldn't have imagined watching Endgame at home for the first time and going through that shit by yourself as opposed to in a large group. But, I mean, like I said, it's going to impact us in a certain way. I mean, we're going to kind of take it as it comes along as far as what we're going to be seeing. But, I mean, we have enough to look forward to.
Oh yeah, there's plenty slated to look forward to across the board.
Well, you know, we have plenty to talk about as it comes along, as they drop. You know, we'll find it. I mean, it's only a matter of just at this point waiting, and you know, taking the movies in as they come in, or you know, trying to sit down and stick to one series, one show at a time as they stream. It's kind of how we do Mandalorian. We knew every Friday we but we were going to sit down and watch it. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, with Game of Thrones, I absolutely dedicated time to go watch it. Can't say I did that with The Mandalorian, but hey,
But it's
I like good cinema.
Hey, you know, I don't let girls ruin my fun. Fuck.
And,
yes, I do. That's my normal.
That's a great place to wrap.
That's my work week. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hopefully we can do it again for the holiday when everyone's here, if we find time. Follow us on the socials, Roaming Nomad, Sloth Photography, Dadless Podcast, Dad Entertainment. Myself, we're out there. We'll put stuff up to kind of follow along with the episode so that you can understand and know and have like a visual to go off of what we're talking about. I am the Elder Dadless.
I'm the Roaming Nomad.
Thank you, and good night.
Who are you, really?
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Come for me, Mark! I am a traitor!
You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed.
Offer me everything I ask for. Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch. I am your father.
That's my son! This is my boy! My boy!
That's impossible!
You're laughing. Someone was killed today because of what you did.
I know. How about another joke, Murray?
You son of a...
Fuck you. Honey, you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me!
You steal my daughter war. I understand your pain.
Actually, when we're all tickled to hear you say that.
You shall have your revenge. Iron Man. Good night. And always remember, that's